everyone. We're back for the afternoon first appearance docket, and then we'll have some hearings. We will begin this afternoon with Sigrid Karaskia.
Judge, she just stepped out to the restroom.
Okay. How about Rochelle Heath?
She's here present, Judge, approaching. Come on up, Miss Heath.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Heath. You're here this is your first appearance, and you are here because there are two charges, one charge of retail theft and another of using anti-shoplifting control device.
Judge, I have an argument for count two.
Sure. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Judge, I actually looked this one up. There's a case on point, State v. Blunt, and that is 744 Southern 2nd, 1258, which is essentially stands for the notion that tin foil or aluminum foil, even if it's wrapped around a tag, cannot be considered an anti-shoplifting device under this statute. And so there is no probable cause for count two.
Thought to Mr. Linder?
I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. So the charges that have been presented, I find probable cause for number 1, no probable cause for number 2.
Judge, I realize the court found no PC, so it'd be an R1 count two. But in speaking to Ms. Heath, she believes the most her family going to be able to afford is a total of a $2,000 bond. So what I'm asking is for a bond reduction on count one from $3,500 to $2,000. My understanding is Ms. Heath's been living here her whole entire life. She lives in West Palm with her grandmother. Her grandmother's the person that's going to be posting her bond. She's on Social Security and can come up with $200. She's currently working. She works at IHOP part-time. She's trying to get more hours, but all she works is part-time. She has prior contact with the system, but she says it's dated about 9 years ago. She will be coming back to court, so we're asking for a bond reduction to $2,000 on count one.
All right, so there's a $2,000 bond on charge number 1, ROR on 2, finding no PC. All right, Alexandra Hogan.
North Broward, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so Ms. Hogan is before the court. Charge 1 is possession of alprazolam. Number 2 is possession of buprenorphine. And number 3 is a misdemeanor capias. This on a petty theft charge. The capias is on a petty theft charge.
With that capias,
I find probable cause. And all right, did you speak to Ms. Hogan? You have an attorney. Did you speak to your attorney?
We did talk, Your Honor, and I did make the phone call that she asked me to make. I think what she wanted to tell you as far as count 3 is she never had notice of that case from back in 2017, and it looks like it was an out-of-custody information. I spoke to the person she asked me to call, and he informed me that neither he nor the defendant's mother are interested in bonding her out at this time. They would like to see her to get some drug help, and I'm asking the court if you'll sign an order placing her in the SAP program while this case is pending.
Okay.
So the court's aware, Ms. Hogan's aware. This originated as a summons case. The state went through its our resources to try to find the best address we could. The law enforcement was unable, and the clerk's office was unable to successfully serve the summons. The file ultimately got brought to Judge Carpenter-Toy. She reviewed everything, and in her determination, she issued a $1,000 capias.
All right.
Judge, she's going to be seeing Judge Carpenter-Toy tomorrow, so they can discuss it further.
All right, so I find probable cause. I'll leave the bonds in place. You do see Judge Carpenter-Toy tomorrow, and I will sign that order for you to be in the SAP program.
Thank
Okay.
you, Judge. I'll prepare
but
the order.
I just have a quick question. What is this SAT program? I don't.
Ms. Hogan, it's a substance abuse program for that is in custody. It's an in-custody program. It's voluntary. You're not required to do it, but with the order signed by Judge Powell, you can make that available to you. We can make that available to you.
Yeah, 'cause
And
I
I'm
was
urging
thinking
you
about
to
going
volunteer
to-
for the, ma'am, I'm urging you to volunteer for the program, at least in the short term, until your family's ready to bond you out.
Okay, because I was thinking about going to Bark, which is in Broward County. It's like an actual
All right,
program.
Ms. Hogan, that's something further that you'll speak with your attorney. We'll have to move on. Omar Miller,
Judge, we have a Spanish interpreter present.
all right. Well, we can address Mr. Miller. It's gonna be quick. Mr. Miller is before the court for an out-of-state felony hold. And Mr. Miller, this is a no bond hold for California. You will have to appear before the extradition judge on this matter, okay? All right, who needed a Spanish interpreter?
Two individuals, Judge, both of them are on page 4 of the court's docket. First one is Mr. Donnie Romero Vargas. Mr. Romero Vargas, come on up. And the second individual is Mr. Enrique Vargas Torres, and he's also on page 4. Both gentlemen said they do speak English, however, they'll feel more comfortable just understanding everything, so that's why they requested a Spanish interpreter, Judge.
All right, Madam Interpreter, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to interpret from Spanish to English and English to Spanish?
I do to the best of my ability, so Alicia Stegman.
Thank you, Ms. Stegmuller. So this is Donnie Romero Vargas,
Dani Romero Vargas.
and Mr. Vargas is before the court on a petty theft charge.
Señor Vargas está frente a la jueza por un robo menor.
And I find probable cause.
Haya motivo justificado.
Judge, my understanding, this is the first time Mr.
Es la
Vargas has
primera
been
vez
arrested
que
in
el
his
señor
life.
Vargas lo arrestaron en toda su vida.
He's been living in our community for the past 2 years. He's 21 years old.
Tiene 21 años, ha vivido en nuestra comunidad por los pasados 2 años.
He lives locally here in Davie in a mobile home
Vive aquí en una casa móvil en Davie, en local,
with his wife.
con su esposa.
He is working at a local restaurant in
Él está
Plantation. It's called
trabajando.
Asian Amazing Bistro.
Asian Amazing Bistro, el restaurante en Davie que está trabajando él,
Where he's a cook.
donde él es un cocinero.
Judges, the state can confirm this is the first time he's ever been arrested. I'm going to ask the court to consider an RWAR.
Voy a pedir libertad bajo palabras si el Estado está de acuerdo.
And Judge, if the court's not inclined to straight RWAR, I ask you then just to leave the standard bond in place, and his wife will be
La
posting the
fianza
bond.
estándar, si no le van a dar libertad bajo palabras, y su esposa va a estar fijando la fianza.
Your Honor, I'm looking to see if there's any history.
Estoy viendo a ver si hay algún historial.
And I don't know if this is something Mr. Romero wants to inquire of his client off the record.
No sé si es algo que el señor Romero quiera preguntarle fuera del acta a su cliente.
I'm just curious if he also resides with one of his co-arrestees.
Estoy curioso si también vive con uno de los que acusaron con él, lo que arrestaron con él.
Mr. Farias Plaza.
Roommates.
Well,
Sí, es un compañero de cuarto,
okay, so he resides with more than his wife. Okay.
que vive con él y su esposa.
I don't see any history, Your Honor.
No veo historial, su señoría.
All right, so based on the allegations that I have before me,
Basado en los alegatos que tengo frente a mí,
and it appears that Mr. Vargas, Romero Vargas, was working in concert with two other persons.
parece que estaba acá en conjunto con 2 otras personas, el señor Romero Vargas,
That they were in the store for over 2.5 hours,
que estaban en la tienda por más de 2 horas y media,
looking out for each other, concealing merchandise.
buscándose uno al otro, cuidándose uno al otro y escondiendo mercancía.
I'm going to deny the request for pretrial supervision.
Voy a denegar la petición para supervisión de pretrial, de libertad antes del juicio,
The standard bond that is in place will remain.
y va a permanecer la fianza que tiene estándar.
All right, Enrique Vargas Torres.
Come on up, sir.
All right,
Here, Judge.
Mr. Vargas Torres is before the court for a trespassing charge.
Señor Vargas Torres está frente a la jueza por un cargo de intrusión.
And I find probable cause.
Voy a hallar motivo justificado.
Nothing had at this time from the defense, Judge.
Nada de la defensa, su señoría.
Your Honor may recall Mr. Vargas Torres.
Su señoría puede recordarse del señor Vargas Torres.
He appeared before you last Wednesday
Él compareció frente a usted el miércoles pasado
for trespassing at the same 7-Eleven.
por intrusión en el mismo 7-Eleven.
He told law enforcement he would not leave that 7-Eleven.
Él le dijo a la policía que él no se iba de ese 711 de 7-Eleven,
He would be going back to the 7-Eleven when he has a chance.
que él va a regresar al 7-Eleven cuando tenga un chance
And that he has a legal right to be in that
y que
7-Eleven.
tiene el derecho legal de estar en ese 7-Eleven.
The state's offer at his first appearance was 5 days in county jail.
La oferta de primera comparecencia fue 5 días en la cárcel del condado.
Your Honor rejected a request to offer an open plea.
Su señoría rechazó una declaración a la merced de la jueza.
Mr. Vargas Torres appeared before Judge Canner at a second look hearing on Friday.
El señor Vargas compareció el viernes por segunda comparecencia frente a la jueza Canner.
Mr. Vargas Torres accepted the 5-day sentence at that time.
En ese momento el señor Vargas Torres aceptó la oferta de los 5 días.
Judge Canner ordered and was very clear that Mr. Vargas Torres is not allowed to go back to that 7-Eleven.
Y la jueza Canner le dijo que no podía el señor Vargas Torres regresar a ese 7-Eleven.
Mr. Vargas Torres was released on Saturday.
El señor Vargas Torres le dieron libertad el sábado.
And Judge, even though Mr. Vargas is homeless,
Señoría,
because of
aunque
what
el
Mr.
señor Vargas es desamparado,
but because of what Mr. Lender said and other reasons, that's why I'm not requesting anything.
por eso no estoy pidiendo eso, nada en este momento, por lo que dijo el señor Lender y por otras razones.
I'm gonna increase his bond to $500.
Voy a aumentar su fianza a $500.
He's saying the exact same thing that he did last time.
Que hizo que las mismas cosas que hizo la última vez.
And Mr. Vargas Torres needs help. He needs to find a resource for that help.
Y si el señor Vargas Torres necesita ayuda, necesita hallar un recurso para esa ayuda.
You can't just insist that he can be in the store no matter what.
No puede insistir que puede estar en la tienda, no importa qué.
All right?
¿Ok?
No return to that
No
location.
regreso a ese sitio.
All right, Junior Farias. I'm sorry. Is there anyone else who needs a Spanish interpreter?
¿Alguien más necesita intérprete en español?
Judge, nobody else needs services of
Nadie
interpreter.
más necesita el servicio del intérprete.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you are.
All right, Junior Farias Plaza.
Can you see her approaching, Judge?
All right, sir, you are before the court for a petty theft charge. And I find probable cause. I guess this is the co-arrestee of the person we handled before.
Correct, Judge. Mr. Farias Plaza advised me this is his first time being arrested in his life. He's 20 years old. He's currently looking for employment. He lives in Davie, in a mobile home. Judge, if the state can confirm he has no prior record, considering this is a non-violent offense misdemeanor, I believe it's reasonable to ask for a straight RR. If not, I would ask to leave on in place.
All right, so based on the argument that was presented before and what I stated before, I am gonna leave the bond at $100. All right, Tuscany Pierre.
Judge, I've been advised he bonded, and whenever the court's ready, Ms. Killa is back.
All right, so I find probable cause on Mr. Pierre, he's bonded. And then Ms. Carrasquilla. All right, ma'am, you are before the court on a misdemeanor capias. It is a municipal ordinance violation charge. Do we have any notes or any, in regards to this? Because it's a failure to show at a calendar call, but it's a no bond hold. So,
I can look the case up as a.
what division? This is, this is the Judge Lerner Wren division. Well, here's what, I'm reluctant on to change the hold conditions on a municipal ordinance matter where the judge saw fit to put it no bond.
And Your Honor, just
Yeah.
so you know, I can tell you, this is the third time a KPS was issued. in this
So
case.
I will leave it the way it is, and you have court tomorrow before your division judge, Ms. Carrasquillo. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Travis McLeod.
Sir, McLeod, come on up, please. He's approaching, Judge.
I'm sorry, did you say something, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor, I have an argument as to count one, false ID given to Leo. According to the probable cause affidavit, Mr. McLeod recanted and did in fact provide his name to law enforcement prior to him being arrested. According to case law, and I cite AAR v. State, and that's 926 Southern 2nd, 463, and that's out of the 4th DCA. Recantation prior to any substantive work being done or any harm is a complete defense. And so I'd ask the court to find no probable cause, since he did completely, recant, did provide his name before he was arrested, or in the alternative, release him on his own recognizance on these charges.
And Your Honor, at the end of the day, while I suspect under a different charge, this, there could be PC for what for the arrest, I see no adult priors. I was not going to be insisting upon monetary release, any bond for release anyway, so if the court is inclined to find no probable cause in ROR, I'm fine with, that's fine.
All right. So I'll find no probable cause on the false ID given to law enforcement. That's number one. You'll be ROR'd on that. And then you have a traffic infraction that's not for magistrate. Okay?
Thank you, Judge.
And Mr. McLeod, you're being ROR'd. So you need to make sure that they have all the proper information, your attorney as well as the clerk's office. Okay? And you still have the other issues to deal with. All right, Eddie Wright.
Yes, sir.
Wright.
He's approaching it. Mr. Wright, municipal.
Since this is an MO case, I wonder if it might be more appropriate to set him for tomorrow, since he doesn't have a future court date.
Well, Mr. Wright gets to make the decision. Mr. Wright, you're before the court because you have a KPS on a open container matter. The KPS was issued on December 12th.
Yes.
And there is a bond of $50 that's attached to the KPS. So you have the option, sir, if you want to post the bond or if you want to resolve your case.
Resolve my case.
All right. Or I guess the third option I should let you know is that we could reset it for tomorrow. There is an attorney that represents persons on municipal ordinance matters. So we could reset it for tomorrow if you want to wait for an attorney.
This one got a court. I can't resolve the case, or I don't know.
No, I'm just telling you the three options that you have. You make a decision as to what you want to do. So your three options, you can post your bond. You can wait until tomorrow to have your attorney here. I can reset it for tomorrow morning for you to have your attorney. Or the third option is you are allowed to resolve municipal ordinance cases at first appearance if you wish to do that.
I don't know what that means. Can you explain that to me?
What, you don't know what means?
Get it over with, yes. Get it over with, yeah.
No, tell me what it is that you didn't know that means.
Number 3.
Number 3 means that you're gonna, if you take a plea today, the case will be over today and the case will be done.
Take a plea.
All right. All right, I'll sentence you to adjudication and time served. Do you wish to accept that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so there'll be a conviction on your record. You'll have to pay court costs, and you'll get credit for time, whatever time you served, and the case will be over. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Mr. Wright, do you understand everything we've discussed here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to resolve your case?
No.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No.
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
No.
You understand that you have the right to go to trial, but by taking a plea today, you are giving up that right?
Yes.
Have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No.
And do you understand, sir, that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that by taking a plea today, it will subject you to deportation or immigration changes?
Yes.
What plea do you wish to enter at this time, guilty or no contest?
No contest.
I accept your no contest plea. I find that it's freely and voluntarily given. Your sentence serves adjudication, time served, and I give you 6 months to pay your court costs, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Old Vince, Raymondville.
He's approaching, Judge. You see what I mean?
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Raymondville. You're before the court because you have charge 1 is fraud, uttering a false instrument. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all misdemeanor cases. It looks like you did not show up on April 18th for your court date. All right, so I find probable cause. And,
Judge,
yes,
and Mr. Raymondville,
yes.
in reference to count 1 alone, he's asking if the court would consider an ROR on that matter.
Your Honor, just looking at the history of his other misdemeanor cases, I don't have much confidence about his future appearance in court.
No, he's
I
got,
just was here at the clerk's court office on the 5th, and I came to put in a calendar call for a request for another court date because of my moving situation. And I can assure you that I will not miss any court dates, any more court dates.
these cases were issued back in April, and these were for calendar call. It's not even like it was a first hearing or anything. And there's criminal mischief, I'm gonna leave the bonds in place at this time. And he has court tomorrow before, I guess his misdemeanor judge. Okay? Angel Pardillo,
Oh, bonded, Judge?
Mr. Pardillo bonded. I find probable cause. All right, we have 2 from this morning. Michelle Rogier.
Oh, he's approaching, Judge.
All right, so all I have is this traffic KPS. I have some other information that seems to be conflicting. So he's got a stamp that says he's a US citizen, and then it's not. And then the paperwork that I have is not completely filled out. Okay, I see there's another paperwork. It was reset from this morning, but it's not on the determination information. But I do, this time it's presented differently. There is the detainer that is signed by Department of Homeland Security. The lower section that's supposed to be signed by BSO, they've provided a separate, like, memo. So, all right, so there's also an immigration hold, Mr. Rogier. And that, it's a no bond hold for Department of Homeland Security. On the KPS matter, you do have a status hearing tomorrow before your division judge.
At 9 a.m.
What was that? Oh, no. All right. Cecilia Stamp,
He's approaching Judge here at Maine. Come on up, man.
all right, Ms. Stamp is before the court on one charge of aggravated battery causing bodily harm. And then number 2 is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon domestic. And I find probable cause for those charges.
Your Honor, in light of the totality of the circumstances, I'm requesting a $2,500 bond on each count, no victim contact.
Judge, we're not far off. I do understand she has an immigration no bond hold, but we're gonna be requesting
does?
$1,000.
That's why I was,
That I have nothing. Unlike the other guy, there was no information about that.
and that's why the matter was reset from this morning, so I just have to put this on recall.
All right, so, all right, so Mr. Linder, aside from the immigration hold, what were you saying?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything other than requesting 2,500
Oh,
on each count.
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Romero, you were the one speaking.
Yes, Judge. Like I said, we're gonna be asking for $1,000 bond on each count. She's been here 3 years. She's 25. She has a job working at Fork Italia restaurant. She's been there for 1 year. She's a store manager, making about $9 an hour. My understanding, Judge, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't reviewed the PC, but from my understanding, when the police responded, her boyfriend informed the police he did not want to pursue charges. He's the one that's actually gonna go ahead and post her monetary bond. He's not working at this time, so that's why we're gonna be requesting a minimum amount, $1,000 bond on each count, Judge.
All right, the probable cause affidavit does indicate that the victim stated that he was not in fear when the defendant pointed the firearm at him because he didn't know if the firearm was loaded. However, he struggled with the victim and gained control of the firearm and put it away.
And I hear you, Your Honor, and I think,
And then the victim refused to give a tape sworn statement.
and I'm not disputing, the level of cooperation from the victim. As far as what happened in actual fear, I think the deputy makes a valid point. Actions do speak louder than words. It might be easy for him to say he wasn't in fear, but when the time came, he did struggle to disarm her of that firearm.
I am going to impose a $2,500 bond on charge 1, and maybe it's and a $1,000 bond on 2. Okay?
Your Honor.
And no victim contact. 2,500 and 1,000. All right? Okay. All right, on our misdemeanor hearing docket, we have DeSalis Vicarini.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Wasn't Ms. Vicarini yesterday?
Yeah, sure. This is one of those situations where she was medically reset a few times. So when she got medically reset, her second appearance ends up occurring, I believe, just a day after or 2 days after the first appearance. Your Honor kept $1,000 bond in place. I advised the court. She's had numerous domestic violence arrests in the past couple years, both felony and misdemeanor. They were dropped. Her most recent case, she was released on pretrial and ended up getting picked up for violating pretrial when she picked up. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It was her. Her
Turn myself in.
her GPS monitor. She was unable to charge her GPS monitor. I spoke about this matter with Mr. Miller before court since he wasn't here for the original first appearance. It looks like, if memory serves, Your Honor, if you look at the, and I think this is part of the court's concern, if you look at the two addresses on the booking and the PC, I believe one address is for Broward Outreach, and the other, I believe, is for the Jubilee Center in Hollywood, or it's some type of shelter, I believe.
Something, this was just,
I'm sorry.
no, that's what we were, she was saying something about, she has some place, but then these are the two addresses that she had that are not,
So, I did get a chance to talk to her this morning. She could afford the bond if she could access her money. That's been a problem because she's, either lost or had stolen her pay card, her driver's license, her phone. So she's kind of stuck without any ability to bond herself out at this time. I'm looking at the clerk's record here. She has 3 prior battery charges. All of those, 2 of those were declined by the state. 1 was null prost. So this is in essence her first charge. She does have a job. She works at Outback Steakhouse as a server. She has a place to stay. Temporarily, she could stay with a fellow employee, but that she does have plans for a more permanent situation going forward. This is simply a fight. It's not a huge fight. It's a fight between 2 individuals. This may turn out to be nothing. It may turn out to be mutual combat. But rather than keep her in custody, judge, and take the chance that she'll lose her job, we'll ask the court to consider pretrial release. No contact with the alleged victim, no return to that location. She does, like I said, have a place to stay. She'll have to obviously update pretrial when she does find a more permanent location.
May I say something?
how long has she been working at Outback?
I got transferred from Baltimore.
When?
I was in Baltimore.
When?
I got September 10th
And you got transferred September 10th of this year?
from Baltimore. I was working at Outback in Baltimore. I had to go up there for 3 months for financial reasons. I've been in South Florida since 2005.
Okay, my next question, which Outback are you currently working at?
At the Causeway, 10th Southeast 10th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale.
And how long have you been working there?
I want to say a month and a half.
So you didn't get transferred in September?
It took a while for the transfer, Your Honor. The transfer was in place the day that I left. My last day of employment was on the 9th. The transfer was in place. Some of the managers were on sabbaticals.
All right, since you've been transferred, you said transferred in September, how long have you been in South Florida since September?
Since September 10th. I flew in to Fort Lauderdale on September 10th. But previous to that,
No, I don't want, just answer the questions that I ask you. When you flew in on September 10th, where were you staying?
my significant other and I had paid for a place in Deerfield for 3 weeks. He just kicked me out of the Sea Turtle, 315 Hollywood Beach on Friday. When I left last Friday, that's when all of my things disappeared. I don't know if he kept them. I don't know if I lost them. That's when my pay cards disappeared, my phone card, my Broward driver's license. The police officer took me to BOC in Hollywood. That's where this occurrence happened. I was there with no money, no anything. Actually, the officer handed me $20 of his own money, which was very nice of him. This is where the battery happened. If I were to be released today, and I'm gonna ask once again, on my own recognizance, I would walk down the street to the hack, which is 2 blocks away from here, and my counselor is there, and I would be allowed in and could get all of this straightened out by tomorrow.
So, Your Honor,
Those cards were reordered on
It just-
Thursday.
something just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm looking at the probable cause affidavit from her first arrest in this year in Broward. And she says she was transferred to Broward September 10th. She was arrested for the first domestic violence battery 4 days later. It also states that her permanent address and local address and that PC in the booking sheet was 1700 Blunt Road, which is Broward Outreach. And I'm trying to figure out how she was in Baltimore on a corporate transfer to South Florida and is living in a homeless shelter.
Well, that was, I think those
At
were the
first-
questions that we had yesterday. It was the same questions, and it's just not adding up. It's not making
At
sense.
first, when I came back from Baltimore, I was living at Ocean Villas.
Those,
We checked in on the 10th.
aside from, stop talking, please. The other, she has 2 priors, but arrest, those were dropped or not
Everything
filed.
ended up being dropped.
So she's not been convicted of anything in the past?
I'd have to check further. I frankly, when they came up and I saw that she had 3 previous domestic violence arrests in Broward, I'm being told she's actually had 2 violations of pretrial. One was based on a new arrest. Another was on the most recent arrest. There was an issue on a GPS, frankly, Your Honor. And with all the other discussion, we really didn't get that far into prior
No, we
counsel.
didn't get that yesterday, so. So she was at a program and she left the program.
To go back with my husband last Friday.
But you, when you're on a court-ordered matter, you can't just get up and decide to go somewhere else. You have to let the court know.
Oh, no, ma'am. I wasn't court ordered. I was not court
You're on
ordered.
pre-trial. You have to let pre-trial know that
Oh,
you're
they-
moving.
Oh,
So
no,
of course, all right.
No, Your Honor, you're misunderstanding. I did not go back with my husband on pre-trial. I did everything I was supposed to do.
All right.
With
Ms. Vicarini, there is just too many unanswered, unclear matters. I'm gonna leave the bond in place. I think this is where we were yesterday, and, you can speak with your attorney further about, how to, resolve your issues. All right? Let's go to the felony hearing docket. I have Brenton McElveen.
Is there a reason why you don't wanna hear the truth?
Mr. McElveen. All right, Mr. McElveen was arrested on November 15th.
This is a 30-day motion for release, Your Honor.
Yes.
The state has not filed an information. Mr. McElveen is entitled to an ROR on this charge. My understanding is he does have a separate VOP hold with, as of right now, a hearing in front of Judge Scheer mid-January, but he
Okay.
is entitled on this.
Judge, he wishes to go forward on the ROR motion. I did advise him due to the VOP no bond hold, his physical body's still gonna be here in custody. He still wishes to proceed forward on the motion.
All right, so I'll grant the ROR that he's entitled to at this time. I'll sign the order. All right, Malcolm Stone.
North Broward, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Stone was arrested on December 16th?
Yes, Your Honor, you heard this matter on Monday. You may recall this involved, it's at Gulfstream Racetrack. It alleges that Mr. Stone was in possession of a fraudulent check in the amount of
He wanted $500, and then he told him that he would take a lesser amount of $300.
That would be correct, Judge.
All right,
Judge,
so,
I spoke with Mr. Stone earlier this afternoon. He's advising that he has family living in West Palm Beach, and that once he is released, he plans to return to West Palm Beach, but he's unable to reach any of the family members to bond him out at this time. He does have work. He works at DML Telecommunications, installing underground telecom cables. And he believes that job is waiting for him when he gets out. The court will consider pretrial release on him for these nonviolent third-degree felony charges. He indicated that he would definitely return to court when called.
has Mr. Stone ever been on pretrial?
I'm checking to see what history, if any, he has. Honor, while I'm trying to get something local, I can tell you, it looks like there was a federal drug prior from Palm Beach in 2014. The resolution shows 3 months in federal prison, so I mean, I guess that speaks for itself. Okay, out of Palm Beach, let's see. From what I can tell, Judge, all of his history out of Palm Beach County involved drugs. I don't see any theft-related priors or violent-related priors. As far as your question, he's never had a Broward case, so he's definitely never been on pretrial in Broward. I don't know about Palm Beach.
I'll grant the pretrial supervision. Mr. Stone, you need to report to the pretrial office by tomorrow morning. If you don't,
Release today?
if you don't show up, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The deputy will give you the information. The pretrial office is right across the street from the courthouse in downtown Fort Lauderdale, so you have to get there tomorrow morning. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I believe that's it for afternoon docket. Deputy, thank you very much.
All right, Judge Powell, I don't think I'll see you again. I don't think you're working Christmas or New Year's, so it was a pleasure working with you this year.
That's right, on Wednesdays, right.
Only on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Next year, I change my job.
All right, we'll talk,
All right.
talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, have a good holidays.
You too, sir.